UN's ECOSOC or Development Cooperation Forum or USAID's strategy development, they occupy space, and therefore, and there are all shapes and sizes of international NGOs: secular, faith-based, charity, contractor, enterprise. I think it's such a big spread. They all come under, unfortunately, I would say, within one level of international NGO. But there is a whole, from those people who run sort of 2-person international NGO to 2.2 billion annual. So I think the largest one, as far as I know, is approximately 2 to 2.5 billion, depending on how big the emergency happens in that year. So that's sort of just to situate the conversation in that. So what I'd like to do is just to say what had changed. I mean, if I look back as a practitioner in the last now in last few years, but certainly in the last 5-7 years, what are the big changes that have happened? We certainly had all kinds of crises. We say triple F crisis was the food, fuel, and financial crisis, climate crisis sort of included. We have had crises of all kinds, and I think will this change the development paradigm? Will we be into a new cycle? And people would like to say that this financial crisis is not going to go away. And even if it goes away, I mean, after a while, it will take a bit of time to go through apparently a cycle that takes 30-35 years, and has happened historically in trying to sort of go down and come up again economically. And not only that money will be less, but the way things will be done. So the development, the overall development is being challenged for many different ways. I do think that people have started to think development already a lot beyond economics, but certainly for a long while development was only about a certain part of the world, but I think development is required and needed, and probably more so in, not more so, but equally in all different parts of the world, whether high income poverty is getting more and more distributed. So there is a whole range of new change and new cycle and new paradigm will emerge. Some of what I'm saying is a part of hope, because I think we do need, and some is just naturally happen in sort of minor change and a status quo. So we don't know what will happen. Certainly we experience corporate expansion on a daily basis, whether that is big corporations buying land or going to go for mine or monopolize seed industry, you name it, or genes or drugs. The impact of corporations on the lives of poor people and the situation it creates of injustice, inequality, and exploitation is phenomenal, let alone their impact on the politics and politicians and the overall architecture of power. The geopolitical shift, certainly, I mean, I think, the rise of China and India, the middle income country, BRICS country as they are called, Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and if you take others, Mexico and others, I think the power, the economy, not so much military power, but the level, the debate, the global power is now reconfigured differently. I think, and will change even further, and that's going to affect us very different. Not only that there will be more money, but also the way we work. India will start giving aid, already doing that, and we need to figure out what kind of aid they are giving. Are they accountable? How to use it? China is, mining all over the place in Africa, and we have to see whether that increases poverty or not. Just like we've been doing that in relation to North American or European power bases. Insecurities and risk. I think, we are constantly reminded that the world from here on is going to be, already has been, will be a series of insecurities, crises, and risks. So I think, people are, sort of pushing us towards thinking development not simply in the terms that we used to think, but also start, resilience, development, and various other things is going to affect us. And it's really changing what we need to do. Not only is changing the field, that there are armed conflicts in many more countries now than it used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and the nature of the violence in the big metropolises, as in Mexico City or Rio de Janeiro or Johannesburg, is changing. So there's a whole range of insecurity that we are having to deal with. Not only simply the risks of climate change, very severe weather pattern, the unpredictability, and that requires a different kind of organizations and mindset, I believe. Global communication, and you know that better than anybody else, being in this part of the world and this age group of most of you, an online society, and changes can be made, and a lot happens out there in the virtual site. We're a lot more connected. Several billion people in any given day. Viewing YouTube is not a small phenomenon, and half a billion in Facebook. Philanthrocapitalism. This is I think this isn't quite got there yet, but I think you can, if you are in the United States, you can see that people are giving very large amount of money, and they Gates and Buffett probably shadows all the traditional, various other traditional foundations that used to be, but actually their money, the quantum of their money and the activism that goes behind with the ideas are bigger than probably United States development aid in certain countries for sure. But quite apart from that, social enterprise, I've just been in Harvard for only 7 weeks. That place is buzzing. Every student I meet wants to set up a social enterprise and to help people and make money at the time as well. And sort of philanthrocapitalism is just like venture capitalists. There are people who wants to fund social enterprises. So I think it's something new, and we haven't even talked about it in international NGO. It's coming on to us. It has come to it. And cities, and most of the poor people will start living. Majority of them will be in the cities. Majority of them will be in the middle income countries. And the rise of middle class. I mean, in our previous analysis, we didn't factor middle class. Either there were people who were feudal or those with some at one end. The extremes were our points of analysis. But how to deal with middle class, how to factor them in the social justice solution system. They are defining what are they, where do they belong to, and quite a lot of conflict. I mean, I say in India or South Africa or Rio de Janeiro's or Thailand's unrest, they are quite a lot to do with urban and rural and middle class and the rest. So I think the dynamics are changing. We have to deal with a different group of people as well. But at the same time, I think because with the advent of globalization of everything, including communications and transport and global civil society and international NGO, I think there is a rise of global social movement. The slack dwellers organizations are linked across the whole world, and the peasants movement can be united. Positive people's movements are very vibrant, and they are connected. They communicate, and they have a space. So I think for international NGOs, it is very important to recognize the rise and the expansion and depth of global social movements. So these are some of the big trends I thought I'd like to sort of, against which international NGO need to think future. Sometimes independent of this, and I would tend to say quite independent of this, sometimes influenced by those external pressures. So what are international NGO doing? If I read into that broadly and some of the big things, what are they busy at? So first of all, I think what has happened in international NGOs is that the